Good afternoon, everybody. Steve Fletcher with a trumpet for my people. Today is December 10th, 2025. Now, I have been doing videos about Hanukkah since August, as I have seen everything leading to this time. And so over the past 4 months, I've put together more than 60 videos with different aspects of all of the signs leading to Hanukkah. And so what I want to do in this video is I want to create a Hanukkah timeline between December 13th and December 22nd and put together all of the pieces of the information that I've shared in my videos. So as you can see, there are is a huge amount of information all connected to everything I've been sharing, and so it's probably been pretty hard to keep everything organized as I've been doing videos with like one piece or two pieces of information at a time. This is not everything, but this is the majority of all the major pieces of information that I've shared with you. I want to put together here on this one screenshot. Now I changed my pointer to red, so hopefully you can follow along the pointer with where I am and the pieces of information that I will be sharing. Okay, I want to start here because without a biblical understanding of Hanukkah, people are lost. A lot of times they think of Hanukkah as a Jewish feast that is not even biblical. It wasn't in the Old Testament. But I have a very important understanding of this from John chapter 10, and this is something we all need to understand, that the Bible says that there is no jot or tittle that will be left out of the Bible. That means everything that is there for a reason. There is nothing written in the Bible for doesn't have a purpose. Everything that is written in the Bible has a purpose. And so in John chapter 10, when Jesus is talking about he is the door of the sheep, and the thief comes to steal and kill and destroy, but he has come that we might have life and might have it in abundance. And then he talks about the wolf snatching away the sheep, and no one will snatch the sheep out of the Father's hand. And so when we look at John chapter 10, there's all of these symbolisms of Jesus being the door and the snatching of the sheep, and a very important revelation of Jesus being the Messiah when he says in John chapter 10, I and the Father are one. And they wanted to stone him because he proclaimed himself to be God in a very powerful way. One of the greatest revelations of Jesus Christ about himself, I and the Father are one, in John chapter 10, verse 30. So the whole setup of John chapter 10, the door, the sheep, the snatching, when you look at the word harpazo, that is used 3 times in John chapter 10. John chapter 10 was Hanukkah. Jesus was speaking on Hanukkah. Everything that was shared in John chapter 10 all happened on Hanukkah. John 10, 22 and 23, it was the feast of dedication at Jerusalem. It was winter, and Jesus was walking in the temple in Solomon's porch. Okay, so there it is. Hanukkah, the feast of the dedication. It was winter. Okay, this is the only feast of dedication. There is no other feast of the dedication. In Israel, the feast of the dedication is Hanukkah. Hanukkah means dedication. Okay, so yes, there are 7 feasts in the Old Testament. When we look at Leviticus chapter 23, there are 7 feasts in the Old Testament. And Hanukkah is not in the Old Testament. But Hanukkah became a feast that the Jews celebrate and remember during the time of the Maccabees, when the king of Syria, Antiochus Epiphanes, defiled the temple, made war on the Jews and made war on the law, and put an altar of Zeus in the temple and sacrificed a pig on the altar. And that is what is known as the abomination of desolation. And so the abomination of desolation happened during the timing of Hanukkah, and then 3 years later, at the same time, in the month of Kislev, the temple was rededicated, and Hanukkah was born during the Feast of the Dedication. It was Hanukkah where the temple was restored and the miracle of the oil took place. They had to light the Hanukkah menorah, and there was no oil, and they lit for 1 day, and miraculously the menorah stayed lit for 8 days until they were able to create new oil for the menorah and new oil for the temple. So John chapter 10, it gives us the Feast of the Dedication. This is the only time in the Bible that the Feast of Dedication or Hanukkah is even mentioned. Okay, does it matter that it's only once mentioned? No, it doesn't, because Jesus was there, and there was a reason why it shows us that it was winter and it was the Feast of the Dedication in John chapter 10. The whole story of John chapter 10. The word harpazo being used there. Okay, so the Feast of Dedication at Jerusalem, and it was winter. Jesus was walking in the temple in Solomon's porch, and that is what we're watching. We're watching this time frame where Jesus said, I am the door. The 4th day of Hanukkah, the door is number 4. The middle of Hanukkah, Jesus being the middle servant candle, Jesus walking in the midst of the menorah, of the candlesticks in the book of Revelation. So this is a foundational piece of information. The final piece of information that I'm going to give right here at the beginning, because it wraps everything together in Matthew chapter 24, verses 20 and 21. Pray that your flight be not in winter, neither on the Sabbath day, for then there shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. So Matthew chapter 24, where it talks about the signs of his coming revealed, and it talks about the abomination of desolation. When you see the abomination of desolation, according to the prophet Daniel, and then it gives all of the signs of the tribulation and the fleeing into the wilderness, and then at the end it says your flight in winter or the Sabbath day. So it's bringing together this whole idea of the abomination happening on Hanukkah, the Great Tribulation beginning on Hanukkah, and this connection to this winter solstice. The winter solstice. The flight not in winter, neither on the Sabbath day, and there's this window of time at the end of Hanukkah, and how it lines up this year with the final days of Hanukkah, the 7th and 8th days of Hanukkah being December 20th through the 21st, the 7th day of Hanukkah, and December 21st through December 22nd being the 8th day of Hanukkah. So we have this window of time that lines up with what Jesus said in Matthew chapter 24, verses 20 and 21. Flight not in winter, neither on the Sabbath day. So I want to start here on December 6th with a 7-day warning that came with a magnitude 7.0 earthquake in Whitehorse, Canada. The rider on the white horse, the number of God. And if we go forward from December 6th at 2:41 p.m., 7 days, and then we transfer it over to Israel, it is December 13th in the evening. And December 13th in the evening begins what Haggai chapter 2 shows us to be the date of the great shaking. KISLEV 24, the 24th day of the ninth month, begins in Israel on December 13th and goes through sunset on December 14th. So this right here, based on the time of day, based on the date, is a perfect 7-day warning to the great shaking. Back in 2012, we had the Mayan calendar. According to the Mayan calendar, it was going to be the end of the world because it was the number 13, 130000. Well, 2025 is a double 13 within the Mayan calendar. A few days ago, we had the Hanukkah menorah that came up in the Schumann resonance. And everybody who has studied this and seen this, and people who know about how these graphs work and how these lines come up based on the magnetism of the earth, and I mean, I don't even know how to explain it myself, but people who know about this said that this was an unbelievable anomaly within the Schumann resonance that came out, with the intervals of time correctly and perfectly to form a Hanukkah menorah. And so there's a clear sign for Hanukkah coming out of the Schumann resonance. Last year, Pope Francis, this was Pope Francis, and his cardinals, they began opening holy doors on December 24th. Now, December 24th last year was Hanukkah Eve. Just like this year, KISLEV 24, Hanukkah Eve is December 13th and 14th. Last year when they opened the first holy door, it was Hanukkah Eve. Hanukkah began last year on Christmas. So this is a huge connection to the opening of the portal, the opening of the door, and everybody was looking for the opening of the door, and they were looking for the rapture of the church on September 23rd, 923, because of all of the symbolism, 923, 924. But as I have been sharing with you since August, September is not the month that is being portrayed in the 923. It's KISLEV. So we have to look at God's calendar and the Hebrew calendar, which is KISLEV 23 and KISLEV 24, bringing us to the day of the great shaking. Okay. Eric Rickman shared about the 7 seals that began opening in December of 2019, together with the beginning of the coronavirus. The first seal opening with the eclipse of December 26, 2019, where it was an annular eclipse in the constellation of Sagittarius. And the first seal is the rider on the white horse with a bow, and he's given a crown. So Sagittarius represents the rider on the white horse with an arrow, a bow, and he was given a crown, which is the annular eclipse, which creates a corona. And out of that corona, that crown, began the coronavirus. The first seal was opened. Well, he has done all of his studies about the 7 seals and the 7 trumpets. And he has the first bowl of wrath opening on December 20th, 2025. So together with the arrival of Comet Atlas, the first bowl of wrath is set to be poured out on December 20th. Okay, I personally believe it. And so that's up to everybody what they think about what he's been sharing, but he did an excellent job, and I believe he was called and given the wisdom and understanding in what he is sharing. So the information that Eric Rickman is sharing about the seals and the bowls of wrath points also to December 20th. Then we look at Don't Look Up, the movie from Netflix, which was released on December 24th of 2021. And this was about a comet coming closest to Earth and was going to be a planet killer comet. And just as Comet 3I Atlas is going to be closest to Earth on December 19th, Don't Look Up is about a comet coming closest to Earth. And from the day of this release to the arrival of Comet 3I Atlas, December 24th, 2021 to December 19th, 2025, it's 1,456 days. And this is the number in the Strong's Greek Concordance for dedication, the Feast of the Dedication. So from this day, it leads us right to the middle of Hanukkah, dedication, Feast of Dedication. On December 19th, when Comet Atlas is closest to Earth, it will be in the constellation of Leo. And so when everybody's looking up to see Comet 3i Atlas, they're going to be looking at Leo, and who was in the movie? Leonardo DiCaprio. As someone else said, DiCaprio sounds like decapitation. So the beginning of the tribulation, the middle of Hanukkah, decapitation, Leo, and the comet coming closest to Earth. Then we have the death of Charlie Kirk. And Charlie Kirk died, or the everything was done, this ritual, whether he died or not is not the point. The symbolism is there clearly. This ritual they did was in the middle of a menorah. His stage was right in the middle, like the 8th candle, like the 9th candle, the servant candle, the middle candle of Hanukkah. Okay, Kirk means church. So the church was sacrificed on a Hanukkah menorah, and the symbolism or the numerology of the date of his death is 19 because it was September 10th. 9 plus 10 is 19. Comet 3i Atlas arrives on December 19th. Middle day of Hanukkah, December 19th. So 19, the middle of Hanukkah. The church sacrificed in the middle of Hanukkah. Charlie Kirk sacrificed in the middle of Hanukkah. Okay. Jeffrey Epstein, all connected to December 19th. They have signed a bill now to release all of the Epstein files. They signed the bill on November 19th. November 19th is 9/11. It has a 30-day deadline to December 19th. The same day Comet Atlas is arriving, the day of the judgment, the day of the sword, and this is the day of the Epstein files. I mean, this is very powerful information. But December 19th is also, remember, December is 10. It's not 12, it's 10. And so it's 119. It's another 9/11. So we have November 19th is a 9/11. December 19th is a 9/11. And Jeffrey Epstein, if he were still alive, maybe he is, will be or would be on December 19th, 72 years and 11 months. Exactly. 72 years and 11 months. And 7 plus 2 is 9. 7 plus 2 is 9 and 11. So another 9/11. 3 9/11s within Jeffrey Epstein and the Epstein files that are set to be released on December 19th. From the menorah that was created by all the eclipses, when on January 11th, 2024, the day that is in the middle of all the eclipses going forward and going backward, there's an eclipse on both sides in even number of days, going back forever. I mean, we went back all the way to 1948, and it was a perfect match. Every eclipse has its match on this day. This is the center day of the menorah based on all the eclipses throughout history. Okay, from this day, 711 days to December 21st. And 7/11 is the day that the flood began, Genesis 7:11. It's also 1 year, 11 months, and 11 days. So January 11th is 111, and then it's connected to 1/11/11 and 7/11. The Apollo program from NASA ended on December 19th. Okay, so the Apollo program connected to December 19th is a 9/11, but it's also connected to Revelation 9/11, Apollyon, the destroyer, Abaddon, Apollyon, the destroyer, the angel from the bottomless pit, is connected to Apollyon. So Apollo the date it ended, the program ended on December 19th, connected to everything else we're watching. The Kaduri prophecy and the death of Ariel Sharon all connects to December 21st, 2025. Ariel Sharon, it was predicted through this prophecy that his death would be a sign of the coming of the Messiah. And so he was in a coma for 8 years and 8 days. From the day he went into a coma to the day of his death, it was 8 years and 8 days. Then he died on January 11th, 2014. And from there, it's 11 years, 11 months, and 11 days. And then if you add 8 years and 8 days to 11 years, 11 months, and 11 days, it's 19 years, 11 months, and 19 days. So within the death of Ariel Sharon, leading to the 7th day of Hanukkah this year, we have an 8-8, an 11-11-11, plus he died on 1/11, and we have a double 9/11 forwards and backwards. Now, the earth rang like a bell. On November 11th, 2018, the earth rang like a bell. What happened was a sound wave was sent out from the tip of Africa, went around the globe 70 times. It went completely around the globe 70 times, every 17 seconds for 20 minutes. So it wasn't a shaking, it was a sound wave that was created, that was picked up on the seismographs, and it was like a bell. The day the earth rang like a bell, 70 times. Okay, from that day, November 11, 2018, to the 7th and 8th days of Hanukkah, it's 2,597 days and 2,598 days. And these are the 2 days that in the Hebrew concordance are connected to the name Chanukah. Hanukkah, dedication. 9/7 is bringing us to the 7th day of Hanukkah, and 9/8 is bringing us to the 8th day of Hanukkah. The day the earth rang like a bell, and connected to Hanukkah perfectly in 2025. Israel was reborn on May 14th, 1948. 77 years, 7 months, and 7 days to the 7th day of Hanukkah on December 21st, 2025. Israel is God's clock, and 7 is the number of God. 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. 5 sevens to the winter solstice, the longest, darkest day of the year. The war in Israel. Remember, Israel is God's clock. So the war in Israel, which began on the 8th day of Tabernacles, to the 8th day of Hanukkah, is 808 days. 808 days, 8th day of Tabernacles, 8th day of Hanukkah. 8, 8, 8, 8. So the 7th day of Hanukkah is connected to 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. And the 8th day of Hanukkah is connected to 8, 8, 8, 8. This is also 2 years, 2 months, 2 weeks, and 2 days. So all of the numerology that is connecting God's numbers, Israel is God's clock, connected to the number 7, connected to the number 8, connected to 2222, connected to 111111, connected to multiple 9/11s, 7/11, Chanukah exactly. Okay, and then we have the arrival of Comet 3i Atlas coming in the form of a sword. And 19 in the Hebrew concordance is sword. The point of the sword. Remember the middle of Hanukkah, the jab began. The point of the sword began the middle of Hanukkah. Okay? Now, everything that's going to be happening with Jeffrey Epstein and 9/11, remember? on 9/11 when the towers fell, and they had trillions of dollars that went missing out of the Federal Reserve. But for them to cover up their scandal and their thievery, they had to do a major false flag. So whether they are planning something on December 19th or before, or whether God is planning something starting on December 13th and 14th, going through the middle of Hanukkah and then leading us to the end of Hanukkah, this is a huge timeline that we need to pay attention to, anywhere from December 13th to December 22nd. So I hope this helps by putting all of this information, trying to put all of the information in one video. There's a lot of things that are pointing to the beginning, but as you can see, most of the information is pointing us to the middle of Hanukkah or to the end of Hanukkah. So we do not know. The rapture could happen here. I mean, this could be the great shaking right here at the beginning. Maybe the rapture's in the middle. Or maybe it's at the end. Jesus went up to Jerusalem in the middle of the feast, and then he stood up on the last and great day of the feast. Anyone who is thirsty, let him come to me and drink. On the last great day of the feast. So whether it's at the beginning or the middle or the end, we do not know. All we can do is watch, but I tried to put all of this information in one video. I pray everybody is blessed. I hope this is helpful. And if there's anything that needs to be clarified of all the things that I have shared, then please let me know in a comment below. I pray you guys are blessed. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful rest of this week. And we are coming up now within days, almost hours now, to the beginning of KISLEV 24, which could amount to be the great shaking of Haggai chapter 2. And I don't think the world will be the same again after the end of this week. I don't know how it's all going to play out, but we're watching. So I do pray you guys are all blessed. This is Steve Fletcher with a trumpet for my people, the sign of his coming revealed.